World on alert. Iran versus U.S. war shakes oil prices and global economy. The world has entered a moment of deep uncertainty. Rising tensions between Iran and the United States have triggered global concern, sending shockwaves through energy markets, financial systems, and international politics. What once appeared to be another diplomatic standoff has now evolved into a crisis with the potential to reshape the global economic landscape. From the trading floors of New York to small fuel stations in developing countries, people are already feeling the consequences. Oil prices are reacting instantly, investors are growing cautious, and governments across the world are preparing for the possibility that this confrontation could spiral into a wider conflict. The question dominating headlines everywhere is simple but frightening. Could this crisis trigger a global economic chain reaction? The Middle East has long been one of the most strategically important regions in the world. It sits at the heart of global energy production and transportation. Any instability in this region immediately captures international attention. The confrontation between Iran and the United States has developed through years of political disputes, military tensions, and economic sanctions. However, the recent escalation has created a level of anxiety not seen in a long time. Military analysts point out that both nations possess significant military capabilities, advanced weapon systems, and strategic allies in the region. Even a limited conflict could quickly expand beyond its initial boundaries. Neighboring countries are watching carefully, knowing that any escalation could drag multiple regional powers into the situation. For many governments, the primary concern is not only military confrontation, but the economic ripple effects that could spread worldwide. One of the first industries to react to geopolitical tension is the global energy market. Oil prices often act like a barometer for global instability. As soon as reports of escalating tensions emerged, traders began anticipating possible disruptions in the world's oil supply. Energy markets are extremely sensitive to uncertainty, especially when it involves the Middle East. A major concern is the strategic waterway known as the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passage between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman is one of the most important oil transit routes in the world. Roughly one-fifth of global oil shipments travel through this corridor every day. If military conflict were to threaten shipping routes in this region, the consequences could be immediate and dramatic. Oil traders fear that even a temporary disruption could push oil prices sharply upward. In previous geopolitical crises, energy prices have surged within hours. For countries that rely heavily on imported energy, such a surge could cause serious economic strain. Many people hear about oil price increases and assume it only affects fuel costs. In reality, rising oil prices affect almost every part of modern life. Transportation costs increase first. Airlines, shipping companies, and trucking industries all depend heavily on fuel. When fuel prices rise, these industries must increase prices as well. This leads to higher costs for food transportation, consumer goods, manufacturing materials, international shipping. Eventually, those increased costs reach everyday consumers. A sudden oil spike can make groceries more expensive, raise electricity bills, and increase transportation costs. This chain reaction is one reason economists are worried about prolonged conflict. Financial markets begin to shake. Global financial markets are extremely sensitive to geopolitical risk. Investors prefer stability and predictability. War or potential war creates uncertainty, something markets dislike. As tensions escalate, investors often move their money away from risky assets and into safer investments, such as gold or government bonds. Stock markets may experience sudden drops as companies face rising costs and uncertain future demand. Industries particularly vulnerable include airlines, shipping companies, tourism businesses, manufacturing sectors. At the same time, defense companies and energy producers sometimes see increased investment during periods of geopolitical tension. The global market reaction often reflects fear, not just of war itself, but of the economic disruptions that could follow. Beyond oil markets, global trade could also face major disruptions. The Middle East sits along some of the most important shipping lanes connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. If conflict spreads across the region, commercial shipping could face security threats. Shipping companies may reroute vessels to avoid dangerous areas. While this protects cargo and crews, it also increases travel distance and fuel costs. Longer shipping routes means slower deliveries and higher prices for international trade. Air travel could also face disruptions if airlines are forced to avoid certain airspaces due to security risks. Over time, these changes could slow down global trade and add further pressure to the economy. One of the biggest fears among economists is the possibility of a global economic domino effect. If oil prices remain high for months, industries around the world will face increased operating costs. Governments may need to intervene by adjusting energy policies, subsidies, or strategic reserves. Developing countries are especially vulnerable to energy price shocks. Many of them already face economic challenges such as inflation, currency instability, and rising debt. A major energy shock could push some economies towards recession. Even large economies could face slower growth if consumer spending declines due to rising costs. The result could be a period of global economic instability, where businesses hesitate to invest and consumers become cautious with spending. Military technology and strategic power. Beyond economics, the confrontation between Iran and the United States also highlights the evolving nature of modern warfare. Both nations possess advanced military technologies, including drones, missile systems, and cyber warfare capabilities. Modern conflicts are no longer limited to traditional battlefields. Cyber attacks, satellite surveillance, and electronic warfare now play major roles in military strategy. This means that even without large-scale troop movements, a conflict could disrupt digital infrastructure, communications networks, and financial systems. Such disruptions could have far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate battlefield. While tensions remain high, international diplomatic efforts continue behind the scenes. Global organizations and major world powers are urging restraint and dialogue. Diplomats understand that a full-scale war could have devastating humanitarian and economic consequences. Many countries are attempting to mediate discussions and reduce tensions before the situation escalates further. History has shown that diplomatic solutions often require cooperation, trust, and time, three elements that are often difficult to achieve during periods of intense geopolitical pressure. Predicting the outcome of geopolitical crises is never easy. The situation could calm through diplomatic negotiations, or it could escalate further depending on military and political decisions. For now, global leaders, investors, and ordinary citizens are watching developments closely. Every statement, military movement, or diplomatic meeting has the potential to influence markets and international stability. In a deeply interconnected world, events in one region can quickly influence economies thousands of miles away. The rising tensions between Iran and the United States remind the world how closely global security and economic stability are connected. Energy markets, financial systems, international trade, and everyday consumer prices are all linked to geopolitical events. Even the possibility of conflict can create uncertainty powerful enough to move markets and influence government decisions. Whether this crisis fades through diplomacy or evolves into something more serious remains unknown. But one reality is clear: when major powers confront each other, the entire world feels the impact. The coming weeks may determine not only the future of regional stability, but also the direction of the global economy.